What is going on, Spurs Nation? Welcome to Order on the Court Live. You got me, your boy, Rob Trejo Jr. You can catch everything I do at Spurs Film Room on all across social media. Today, the man, the myth, the legend, Harrison Murphy. What's going on, Harrison Murphy? What's going on, man?
I don't know about legend, but myth kind of sums it up. But no, man, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
It's been a while, I know, since we've done anything together for Order on the Court. And it's funny that we're here together because if you take a look at this graphic, we just dropped episodes on our podcast channel. So whatever you're doing right now, make sure that you get your podcast jam on iTunes. We're there. Spotify, we're there. All right, so take a look at the slate. On Monday was a show between me and my pops. We talked about just a couple things in the Spurs world. Today was the premiere episode of Who's Got Next, hosted by your boy Harrison Murphy. So Harrison, why don't you tell them a little bit about your episode that dropped today, and then we can talk a little bit more about the podcast in a second.
Yeah. So basically today's episode is just kind of a preliminary getting into it. Essentially, Who's Got Next? It's no secret I love college basketball. I've been working on my next up show for OOC Spurs, which my PC finally shipped today. I should get it either tomorrow or Thursday, so I can finally finish editing those videos. It should be up either the end of this week or next week, and we'll get all that content coming to you. But this is kind of an audio component to all that. And in this episode, we finally found out we have the 11th pick. So I just kind of go over the history of the 11th pick in the league, what we're looking at with this draft, and just kind of getting into it. And then we're going to start with players next week.
Yeah, and honestly, it's probably one of my favorite shows that are going to be on our new slate right now of podcast is next up, because I mean the draft is so important to us this year, more important than it has ever been in the past. Since I'm 31 years old. We haven't missed the playoffs in 22 years. You guys do the math. I love the draft because we're so good at it. We've just mastered the tool of finding talent late. And having the ability to just kind of pick what you want early, it's almost like, okay, can we even be bad at this? You know what I mean? So real quick, the Order on the Court podcast, here's your slate of podcasts that are coming out on a weekly basis. Make sure you go and you subscribe there, wherever you get your podcast jam on.
I'll shout out Greg real quick. I'll just say, hey, Greg, the episodes on the players, they will be longer, probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on some of them. Yeah, I felt like the preliminary one, I wanted to leave some stuff so I could talk about it in the actual episodes. So it's just kind of an intro.
Yeah, so it's an intro to the show. You guys got to go become 6-man members to go get all of it. Harrison, he's a good soul, man. He's a good-hearted man. He wants you guys to have some content, but the video breakdowns, those take so much time and effort. You got to be a 6-man to watch that. You got to be an X factor for us here at the OOC to get the lowdown, the scoop on the draft. Chat room, Ruru, thank you for stopping by. IT Kills, thank you guys for stopping by. JM Fuchs, what's going on, man? Thank you guys. The Movie Man 909. I don't know if I've ever seen, maybe. Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Terrence, I appreciate the challenge, man. Hey, we're up to any challenge, bro. We're Spurs, baby. We're Spurs at heart. We're ready for anything. So there was this article. This is kind of the first thing that we want to talk about is this article that was out this week. I think it was just a few days ago.
Yeah, it was about 2 or 3 days ago.
About 2 or 3 days ago. I'm going to share my screen here. And it's written by Jabari Young. Great article. Go ahead and check it out. Before we talk about it, I just want to share the link, right? You can go ahead and look for it. Jabari Young wrote it. It's an interview that they did with R.C. Buford and Brian Wright, the GM. And they answered some pretty interesting questions. It's a long article, so we just kind of picked out some of our highlights of it. And we're going to go ahead and talk about those here with you guys in a second. Harrison, you read the article?
Yeah.
Anything in particular stand out that you liked or?
Well, first of all, I'll give a shout out to Jabari. The biggest thing I like is that he's no longer a Spurs reporter, and he still doesn't forget his roots. He comes back and does something on the Spurs every year. So big love to Jabari Young. They talk about DeRozan's player option, which is like the big subject right now. For me, I felt like there was a little bit of speculation in the article. It seemed like they were saying, oh, he's likely to pick up his option, which everybody's kind of feeling that way now, just given how the cap situation has gone and how they played with him in the bubble. Um, but it wasn't any quote from an executive or from DeRozan in there that said he was going to do it. It was just kind of Jabari's opinion on the matter. So we didn't get much on that. Mm-hmm. But one interesting thing they talked about with the Spurs is a possible relocation, not out of San Antonio before everybody freaks out, but getting a new arena. They talk about the naming rights to the stadium coming up ready to be vacant. And for me, I think it's a good idea, and I think it's probably what will happen. You know, they built the AT&T Center on that side of town to try and build up that side of town, and it hadn't worked. So I wouldn't mind seeing them try to build a new stadium, you know, closer to downtown, easier accessible. What was the thing they said in there about like there's no Wi-Fi? Or bad Wi-Fi in the stadium. I'm thinking,
it's true.
How are you named the AT&T Center and you don't have, you know, readily available Wi-Fi for the players and stuff like that?
You know, it's pretty true, and you know, it's kind of like a thing to say where a lot of fans might get mad, but I mean, the thing is that the AT&T Center is put right outside of downtown. It's not like near. It's a little bit out just like a tad, you know, a couple blocks outside of like where the Alamo Dome is, but it's kind of like in a low it's not in a great neighborhood, so as they say. But what I love about it's a really bad part. Yeah, it's a really rough part of town, or should I say really rough part of town. But what the thing is because I used to work there, bro. I used to work at the AT&T Center, the Freeman Coliseum, the and the Alamo Dome. When I was in college, I worked for Aramark, right? So they do all the concessions inside of the AT&T Center. And
I've been dealt with Aramark before.
Yeah. Hey, we got a couple Aramark.
Yeah, we use them at UNC.
They're at like all the stadiums, bro. And so that was actually a really cool experience to work for them. And but anyways, you know, so I spent a lot of time inside of the AT&T Center on both sides of it. And like, yeah, the Wi-Fi stinks, the signal stinks. So you want to talk about using social media in there, dude? It's hard, bro. It's hard to post. It's hard to, like, you know, when you're at the game, dude. I've been to, I don't know, countless games, you know, while I was going to school at UTSA. And just, it's hard. You got to wait till you get outside to get back to the parking lot and look at your photos and then look at what you want to, you know, like, so it is kind of a bummer there. And there's not really another place yet in San Antonio that you would want to move to, except for maybe the Alamo Dome, to be honest. So
I'd love to go back. They'd have to work out something with UTSA, but
yeah, a lot of people would. Yeah, no, yeah, UTSA's they play football there. They have their football college seasons there. So yeah, that was really interesting, and I just like how in the article, kind of going back to the article, that R.C Buford said that they were going to approach free agency and this offseason with opportunistically and what was the other word there that they used? That's aggressively or something like that. So yeah. I'll go back and look at it. But anyways, he's saying that they're gonna like look at all options, but nothing's really gonna change. Like the values that they have built this past 22 playoffs, you know, past 22-year run to go to the playoffs. Nothing's changing in that organization. I think that's pretty much what this interview was all about.
Yeah, although I see one thing that Greg said, and I was going to address that too. He starts the article by talking about how he interviewed multiple executives. Now, he didn't say which executive said this, but one executive apparently said if he had the Spurs franchise, the first thing he'd do was fire Greg Popovich. And, yeah. I mean, come on. I think that's just foolish. I mean, you can think what you want about you can think what you want about Pop being set in his ways and all that, but the Spurs are not the Spurs without Greg Popovich in some capacity. Obviously, we will move on from him eventually and all that, but you don't fire the guy. That's just not going to happen.
And it's funny because he said, like, we don't know what he's like. They look like in the article, it says that they look at each other and they're kind of like, I don't know if he's told you anything, but he hasn't told me anything, is basically what he says in the article.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, but they're like, even if they even went there and they were like, okay, like, even if he does not come back with us or whatever happens, like, nothing's going to change here. We're like, this is built off of his vision and that's the way it's going to be like forever in this community. Like the way that the Roots kind of have the vision of how we do things in San Antonio really touch base with the community in the military aspect way. I mean, the whole like HEB like stuff, dude, like it's just awesome, bro. But that's not going to change apparently, but some things might change down the future. Anything like player personnel wise that you got a feel for in this? There was that piece that I know this is speculation part of the article where Jabari states that DeMar DeRozan has a close relationship with Miami's Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
And that might be an option. What are your thoughts on
see,
that?
now that I think is pure speculation, because what the hell are they going to give us? I mean, they have arguably the league's most improved player in Bam Adebayo. I mean, yeah, Pascal Siakam's another good option there, but Bam Adebayo went miles this season. You know, Tyler Hero is a rookie that they don't want to give up. Obviously, they can't trade Butler if they're trying to pair the two. I mean, you're left with Myers Leonard, who ever since his big game in the playoffs with Portland hadn't really done much. I mean, was it Solomon Hill? I think he's there. There's just not much that the Spurs would want. Yeah, I know a lot of people say they're on expiring deals, but I mean, so is DeMar if he picks up his option. Why trade one expiring deal for another when you can just let the guy walk and retain his bird rights to sign him back if you need? One thing he did talk about was Aldridge. I know everyone's saying Aldridge needs to go, but this is the one thing that Jabari has fact for fact in there that the Spurs kind of played their hand this past season. They shopped him and they thought they were going to get a huge package for him. And yes, I know I just said huge package on air, but but people aren't offering what we want. They're not going to give up a lot for LaMarcus Aldridge, and people need to accept that. I mean, if we end up trading him, it's going to be for a guy who's overpaid on a bad contract. You're not going to get Brandon Ingram for him. You're not going to get Jimmy Butler for him. You're not going to get an all-star name for LaMarcus Aldridge.
You see, but here's the thing. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm like, I'm with you on it. It's, people got to understand that. I understand that. I accept that. I wouldn't mind getting just something valuable. Shoot, if that's the best we're gonna get for Kawhi Leonard, imagine like what we can really get for LaMarcus Aldridge. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get no blockbuster trade. I mean, like DeMar's great. Like, dude, DeMar's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. But MVP. You know what I'm saying? So Kawhi Leonard. So.
Well, and like you said, I agree. I would take that if they find a way to move him and a guy that can fit the system, even if we have to foot the bill. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people are expecting that, we're going to trade him we can trade him for Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, or we can get a first-round pick for him that's potential number one, and that's not going to happen. I mean, we traded Kawhi Leonard, who's the third best player in the league, arguably right now, maybe the second since KD hasn't played this year. Mm-hmm. And we got DeMar, who, like you said, is good. We had to give up Danny Green, one of the best defensive guards in the league, to get Jakob Poeltl. And then we got a first-round pick that ended up being 29. Now, granted, we got Keldon, so I love that pick, but it wasn't a lottery pick that we got for Kawhi Leonard. We didn't get a haul like people thought we would. Yeah. And people say, that was a bad trade. I thought it was a fantastic trade. With trades, if you get back about 60 to 75% value, it's a good trade for you because you're never going to get 100% value.
So if you want to skip over Kawhi Leonard, that trade became we traded George Hill and rights to a guy that never came over for what ended up being
Davis Bertans, Kawhi Leonard.
No, yeah, but let's like skip past that era. That's the same part of the same deal, right? So they go and traded Kawhi, blah, blah, blah. But then Kawhi ended up becoming DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl for George. If you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like for George Hill and whatever.
Yeah, so essentially George Hill became DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and Keldon. I got you there.
Yes, there was that tweet. I don't know if you saw it out there, but it was like shout out to the Spurs draft personnel because. Like the 2008 draft or whatever. Did you see that tweet where it's like they that year we drafted George Hill like at 20 whatever, and then like Gordon Dragic uh, Gordon,
Yeah,
Goran Dragic at like 50 something or whatever in that year's draft, and right now they're both starting in the Eastern Conference Finals. I was like,
yeah,
ooh, sick, bro. That's the part of the draft that I love, man, is that we're able to do stuff like that. Find talent, even if they can't stay with us, like Leandro Barbosa too. You know what I mean? Luis Scola too. Like those guys could have been hell of a Spurs player if the situation wasn't what it was. I mean, we didn't really need them. That was the point, and they were too good to be on our team and just stay on our team. So it was like they had to go and get their money, you know, because they were just going to be side pieces to the big three. But great players. So your show, the Next Up, Who's Got Next, is partnered with the Next Up video series. Content coming, guys. We're so excited. So you were asking us the other day, what player do we want to hop on a show with you and do a breakdown for, right?
yeah.
All right, so let me see. I want to throw out to Spurs Nation real quick. Who do you want us to do a draft video on? We'll do a short one for you guys another day, but we'll work on one. I'm liking the idea of just either getting the most athletic guy in the draft or the best shooter at 11, whoever's left over, because either way I feel like we need those two voids. We need to fill those two voids.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. To me, I think in this draft, especially at 11, I mentioned in my podcast, I really like the spot we're at right now because we can kind of, if we have our be all end all guy, we get to sit back and watch teams pick, and if we have that guy, we can trade up to get him. I mean, if we don't have to trade up, he can fall to us and we can draft him there. But this draft, since it's a lot of role players, I think we need to pick a guy who, has a concrete skill that he's really good at. So, like you said, like a shooter, a defender, somebody like that. We have a lot of multifaceted guys. And right now, I think we need to get some kind of not necessarily one-trick ponies, but specialists who can help out and accentuate their skill sets. So, like you said, shooter, somebody to improve the defense. We can teach shooting. We know we can teach shooting. We know we can improve defense too. So somebody with a proven skill set that we can help along the way.
Yeah. So guys, if you're looking at the bottom of your screen, you got the join our OOC fantasy football leagues to play against us. 6-man only leagues / open $50 buy-in leagues. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that graphic up here on the screen. So we've been throwing this on our social media for the past week or so. Drafts for these leagues are going to start sometime before the first game. So we're looking at Sunday of not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. No, this Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday of next week. And it's a month that you paid 6 men, and not only do you get to play fantasy football with us for free, but you also get to come on the show and join our podcast and other things like that. Special offers to our merch and things like that too. All right, so 6-man only league. The prize at the end of the fantasy championship will be $200 to the winner. Second prize gets $100 plus an OOC hoodie. Again, you're only playing for $5 a month. And so fantasy is about 4 or 5 months. So you're looking at maybe a $20 investment if you only want to be a 6-man during that time. So make sure you take advantage of that opportunity there. That's kind of the preferred way to go, if you ask me, because you're going to get not just access to this month or this, fantasy football league thing, but when we do special promos and activities in the future, you guys are always on top of the list. The other way to play with us is to email us at oocspurs@gmail.com. And I want you to put the subject line OOCFFL, Fantasy Football League, on the subject line, and just email us. We're going to do a $50 buy-in. We'll add you to our league. First place is going to get $400. Second place is going to get some OOC merch. All right, so that's 2 ways to play with us. 6 men play for free, except for they're paying their $5 a month monthly fee that they already pay. And then you got your $50 league buy-in. Any thoughts on on our football league. They're Hurston. You ever play? How long have you been playing fantasy football? Have you ever won?
Years, man.
Have
Yeah,
you
I
ever
won
won?
last year. Dog,
Hey,
I
I'm a
got
champ too,
lucky.
dog.
I yeah, I was stupid. I was like, huh. I bought into the hype that Mitch Trubisky was going to be way better and not suck like he did last
Yeah.
year. So I drafted him as my quarterback, and he sucked week one. I was like, crap, I'm done. Then I realized Lamar Jackson went undrafted in my league, so I picked him up week
Oh
one,
yeah.
and I was set, man.
Yeah. No, I know, but it was like early on last season. Do you see? I'm just so excited for there to be an NFL season in general. It's weird how you're not hearing anything about it. There's no preseason football. There's no hype behind it. It's just kind of gonna start. I'm assuming. Next Thursday is the start of the season. So man, I'm just so pumped, dude. Yeah, no, I won a championship back in. It's been a few years ago, but it was one hell of a ride, bro. And I rode Andy Dalton all the way, baby. Just fucking making it rain, man. Just making it rain on him, dude. Oh my god. He had some bomb years, maybe about 3-4 years ago. He was pretty good. Anyways, he won a championship for me. So,
Cody, how are you managing 5 leagues, man? I swear I get to like 3 and I can't keep up with them. Hats off, man.
yeah, I know, man. So nah, I got you. Thank you guys
Hey,
for being interested, though. Appreciate it.
you could get Andy Dalton. He's with the Cowboys now.
That's right, dude. Oh my good. That's my boy. He's finally home. Look at Cody.
Back in
Let's go
Dallas.
Cowboys.
No, but it's gonna be fun, man. I'm happy because I mean, obviously it's tough. Like my normal league, we were struggling to like get together and draft because of COVID and all that, and we're still working out those kinks. But it's been nice to have a league where we can come and talk with people weekly, and just kind of talk football and Spurs basketball and all the other stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna be interacting a lot with the people that play with us.
Yeah. So the people that play with us too, like we're talking behind the scenes about maybe doing like we definitely want to give them opportunities, ones that are playing fantasy football, to do like some type of show with us, where they can talk smack. Like if they're like the team of the week or whoever scored the most points or whatever, that week can get on a show and talk some smack. Either on video or on a podcast. We're talking about all that stuff behind the scenes. So just make sure to email us if you want to do our $50 buy-in. Or just go to our site, become a 6-man, and join our 6-man only league, and you can play there as well. All right, so that's pretty much it, Harrison, for today. We're keeping it kind of short. Right now, we got the Denver and Utah game 7 going on. So I'm sure you want to get back to. I'm gonna. Did you see the end of the Boston and Toronto game?
Yeah, I did. Man, I'll say this before we go. Boston looks 20 times better without Kyrie Irving. I think the Kemba Walker, something about him. He's just he doesn't care who scores. He'll do the scoring. I mean, he'll let other people do the scoring. I'm watching how Jason Tatum sort of regressed once Irving got there after his rookie year, and then how he's now a stud and everything. So you got to wonder if he's a team killer or what. So I'll throw some shade at the Nets since they say they're trying to lure Pop away.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Pop. Kyrie's a team killer.
Yeah, don't do it, Pop. Don't. You're home. Just stay home. We'll take care of you here. You ain't gotta go. You never gotta pay for a meal in your life in San Antonio. Anywhere you walk in, it's probably just like, no, it's on the house because you're a freaking legend, walking living legend there in the city of San Antonio. So don't leave, Pop. The weather's kind of harsh in Brooklyn, man. You ain't gonna like it.
Dude, if I had culture shock moving here after Texas, he's going to have culture shock moving up to Brooklyn after Texas.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So, guys, make sure that if you're tuning in, please go subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast gem on. We're probably there. This is the slate coming to you on a weekly basis from us, the guys over here. But it's not just me. On Wednesday, we're actually got a new addition to the crew in the podcast world. Zachariah, do you remember his last name?
Zach Nichols, I think.
Zachariah Nichols. Him and Destin, those two guys are awesome. Those two guys are hilarious. They've been doing some stuff together for a long time, so it's awesome to see them do a show for us. And then also our shout out to our guy Tyler, who just graduated at the Air Force. He's going to be, whenever he finds time after he settles down and gets situated with his whole deployment, where's he going?
He's going to Japan. We're actually looking at recording a lot over starting next week or the next 2 weeks because he has to be quarantined for 2 weeks once he goes over there. So gonna have a lot of time on his hands. So hopefully start churning out some content.
Yeah, Tyler's awesome, dude. Great Spurs fan, great like just Spurs sport junkie. He's awesome, so we're excited to have him there as well. So there's gonna be content, like you said, coming from him. We're super excited about. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button down below. You can actually find the links to our podcasts in the description below. You can also drop a tip in the tip jar in the description below, and if it's over $20, we'll make it into its own video. We'll answer it on the next show. If you guys drop a tip in there, we'll answer it on the next show on there on too. All right. So anything else, Harrison? Why don't you tell everyone what you got going on?
I think that's it for me. Mostly just kind of trying to get some content together for the draft since sadly we don't have any Spurs basketball to talk about. Watching some of the playoffs. One thing with the podcast we're going to try to do is talk about a couple other teams too, just to kind of keep it going this time when we don't have much Spurs news to talk about. So if y'all have any questions or thoughts about how other teams are working on their rosters or how they're performing, send them to us, man. We'll address those too.
Yeah, awesome, man. So thank you guys for tuning in. Do you got a gavel around there for me?
You know I got a gavel. Come on.
Hey.
Let's go, guys. You ready to send it off?
Let's do it.
Court adjourned, baby.
Boom.